We are back. It's the Joe Holka Show presented by Prize Picks. Week 3. It's the big show. How we doing, friends? How we doing? Happy Sunday. How we feeling after 2 weeks? At least the lineups that we've built on this show, week 1, we ended up cashing. Nothing crazy, just like a 2 to 3x to start the year. We'll take it. Last week, we have all the Joe Burrow. Not great. Not great. But the injury stuff, it frustrating, but like honestly, some of those lineups, I think I ended up throwing like 5 of the different combinations that we built just in the Millie Maker. And I think 2 of the 3 still cash with Burrow getting 3 or whatever it was. So we'll take that. We were on the crab. Let's do it again today. How we feeling, chat? How we feeling? Couple new faces in the chat too. Couple familiar ones. Mikey boy, what's up, my man? Justin's in here. How we doing, Justin? Luke's in here. Casey Bone. How we doing, guys? Yeah, if you're here for the first time, we're going to go position by position on the DraftKings slate. Got a good one for you guys. I think there's really a lot of different directions that we can go in tournaments, so that'll be fun. We're going to build a lineup at the end as a group. Going to kind of go through, do some polls along the way. Take your temperature on what we think is the best options on DraftKings, and then we'll go through and I guess as we build the DraftKings lineup at the end as well, I kind of want to get your guys' feelings on like a few different combinations too, because I kind of liked what we did yesterday, or I guess, sorry, last week, where I basically ended up just kind of playing little tweaks off of like our main roster because we had some disagreements in the chat, which is always good. But how's everyone feeling? Oh, I should say this at the top too. I think starting next week, I'm going to add another show. So maybe like an hour just to go through some start sit stuff, traditional fantasy football stuff. Because I know a lot of you guys watching the short forms, the long forms are really just focused on traditional redraft fantasy football too. So I want to get you guys involved on Sunday mornings. This show will stay exactly the same. But directly after this, we'll do some start sit questions as well. So I wanted to make sure that if you guys are still playing some fantasy stuff, you stick around. This show is always at 9 a.m. Eastern time every Sunday. I'm thinking like 10:15-ish. I'll open things up just a basically season-long Q&A start sit stuff because I try to avoid the sit stuff on this show. I know a lot of you guys are just playing DraftKings, all that. But let's just add a show. Let's see how that goes. I think next week we'll start that. Cool? All right. What else we got here in chat? Then we'll get into some news. Pokeboy56. What's up, my man? How we doing? How we doing? Yes, always the slow jam. Always the slow jam. Big Poppy, what's up, my man? How we doing? Frederick Soul. J.R. Heineke. Punisher. What's up, guys? New to the channel. Any success stories with these paying off? I just went through them. Week 1 was a success story. Week 2, we had Joe Burrow. So apologies for that, guys. Obviously, all the prop stuff is going out on YouTube Shorts. Wherever you take in your short form, Instagram, TikTok, you'll find me. I also publish all my results. So you can find that. I think I have a link in the description. I used to. If not, my link in bio on Instagram will bring you right to like my tracker, which tracks every pick that we've done all year, how we're doing on hit rate, all that good stuff. Cool? Cool. What else we got in here? Justin's in here. What's up, Justin? How we doing? Luke, what's up, man? Thomas Payne. Thomas Spanky Payne. How we doing, man? Hurry up, I have church soon. I'm just glad you're here hanging, man. You're not even coming to the Vikes game with me today. What's that all about? No ads. I try and keep the ads to a minimum, my man. No fan in the chat. How we doing, bro? Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate you as always. Hope your week has been great. Those screenshots that you keep sending me, I'd imagine that your week is going very solid, bro. Very solid. Expensive running back week. Let's go. Yeah, you can basically do whatever you want on DraftKings today with how loose pricing is. And sometimes I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It does shape up, I think, to be another really high scoring slate, though. High scoring slate. So let's start with a poll like we always do. Who will be this week's highest owned player? In order to place your vote, you do have to subscribe to the channel. That's the only way to fight the bots on Sunday mornings. And then in order to place your vote, exclamation point, vote, space the number in chat. You'll see the OGs doing it correctly. If you do not do it correctly, you will not get your vote on this poll. How are we feeling? Highest owned player, Jordan Mason, Kenneth Walker, Christian McCaffrey, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Bijan Robinson, Trey McBride, or other. What do we like today for the highest owned player on DraftKings? Now I'm going to see if there's any news as I was setting up stream that I missed. Strong chance that Chris Godwin ankle plays in week 4. I think originally they were saying like week 5, 6 for Chris Godwin, so it must be trending in the right direction. Good to see. What else we got? Christian Darrisaw, knee expected to play in week 3 against the Bengals. Yes, we have the backup quarterback bowl in Minnesota today. It's pretty crazy. I guess I can say this. It's not going to ruin any surprise. My wife's older sister turns 40 today. So they're doing like a big 40th birthday party, surprise party at our place. We'll walk over to the stadium, all of that. But her husband bought a bunch of tickets for my wife's family. And we bought tickets. We have season tickets, but they bought tickets like probably in June. I think the tickets were like $112 a piece, something like that. And then last week, I guess, yeah, last week sometime, midweek, before the Burrow injury, we needed like 2 or 3 more tickets. The prices went all the way up, like just to get in the stadium, like 250, 280 just to get in the stadium. Joe Burrow gets hurt. I think I just checked yesterday. Tickets are like $80. So like, not great, not great. So we get the backup quarterback bowl. It's gonna be a good time with the fam today at the game, though. What else we got? What else we got? A lot of Jordan Mason people in the chat. Okay, interesting. Interesting. We got 150 people in here, just 27 votes. We feel good about Jordan Mason as the chalkiest player today. Cool. I get to watch him live. Let's go. DeAndre Swift will play in week 3 against the Cowboys. That's a fun game to go through. We'll go through game by game a little bit as well. So at least some of the ones that I think are going to be up in tempo, a lot of plays, all that good stuff. Jackson Smith and Jigba added to the injury report with with an illness. That's not great. Questionable with an illness. That's not fun. That's not fun. Ravens ruled out Isaiah Likely for week 3. I think he'll be back soon, though. That's good to know. I don't see anything crazy this morning. You guys, keep me posted in the chat if you see any crazy news pop out while we're live. I need your help. I need your help. Cool. In terms of this week, I think in terms of some of the games, I guess, that I'm the most focused on, there's a few different things that we like to see. A lot of plays, up tempo, a lot of passing plays, which means more plays in general, incomplete passes, all of that good stuff. Also, really bad defenses. And ideally, 2 really bad defenses playing against each other. You guys know what I'm getting at? Dallas at Chicago. 2 of the worst defenses in the league are playing each other this week. So we'll see. I'm not sure how chalky that game is going to get, but there's some fantasy goodness there that we'll have to get into. There's definitely some fantasy goodness there. New Orleans at Seattle. Heard a couple of people talk about Kenneth Walker already. We just mentioned Jackson Smith and Jigba. Yeah, there's going to be some pace in that game as well. New Orleans also not a great defense on the other side. This Washington game also kind of interesting. I think there's like, it feels like quarterback 2 week, like backup quarterback week in general. Marcus Mariota, I feel like still was one of the best kind of spot plays in fantasy this week. If you lost Jaden Daniels, if you lost, who else? Justin Fields. If you lost Joe Burrow, like there was a lot of options to pick up on the waiver wire. Marcus Mariota might be one of my favorite ones. So he was really good I guess he didn't get any starts, but he got a lot of playing time last year. Ran a ton, and it's kind of like the perfect fit. Like this offense, this like horizontal raid for Cliff Kingsbury does really suit Mariota in his skill set. He also has absolutely peppered Terry McLaurin in those games, and he's run a lot. So at 4K, I think he's squarely in play. If you're just running through projections, models, pick your favorite model, your favorite projections. A lot of them are going to feed you some naked Marcus Mariota teams today. But at 4K, a lot can happen. Do you need to go down to Marcus Mariota? I guess that's the question, because there's so many good running back plays. There's so much good value. This feels like one of the loosest slates that I've seen in a long time, because there feels like some players that are auto plays, right? And we're looking at it right now. Jordan Mason, Kenneth Walker, 5,400, 5,800. We'll get to them in a second, but going to be massively popular. So I agree with you guys there. Well, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about quarterback first. Top quarterback play, price considered. This is a sub-only vote. Caleb Williams, Marcus Mariota, Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, or other. What do we like at quarterback today? We'll kind of get our feet set here on quarterback, some stacks, and then we'll work our way through the positions, build a lineup, all that good stuff. What do we think about quarterback, though? Are we just paying all the way down for Marcus Mariota? Are we trying to back into this Dallas-Chicago game? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Couple new subscribers in the chat as well. What's up, guys? How we doing? How we doing? David Grove, Apocalypsis. Welcome in, guys. We do this every Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. This is like year 5 or 6 doing this show. It's my favorite part of the week. This is the only thing that I do publicly for DraftKings and FanDuel now, too. I just think that like doing it with you guys on a Sunday morning is just a lot better use of time and a lot more fun for me. I'm trying to do stuff that's fun for me. I really like making the short form videos in the prop betting world throughout the week. That's kind of where my main focus is. And I'm trying to do a little bit more long form YouTube stuff for fantasy as well. So that's going to extend into some live streams. We'll do the start sit second live stream starting next week. So I'm excited. There's never I guess there's never enough time to do everything we want to do though. So I know someone in the chat was saying, do more fantasy shorts. I try, my man. I do a fantasy waiver short and a trade target short every single week. So I try and get you guys the goods. I do my best. Most of the in-depth fantasy stuff is in my membership community. So there's a link in the description that if you want to check that out, fantasyaccelerator.com. If you want to get more direct access to me, ask me direct questions throughout the week, get my rankings, waiver wire, trade targets, all that good stuff. It's all organized and packaged and goes into a little bit more depth at the fantasyaccelerator.com. If you just want my top 150 rankings, top150free.com, toss your email in there. You'll get it for free. I think that's all the plugs. Top quarterback play today. Dak Prescott leading the way as the top quarterback. Dak is going to go absolutely crazy. I agree. It's more of like, do we want to pay $5,900? Seems like still a great price for him. I still think that probably Caleb Williams might be higher owned. Am I crazy? I think it's going to be close. But I think like the two top quarterback plays today, to me, feel pretty straightforward. It feels pretty straightforward. I think you're probably playing one of Caleb Williams or Dak Prescott in that high tempo, bad defense game. Or I think you're just paying down for Marcus Mariota at 4K. I think that's the move. So Mariota, obviously, like Jaden Daniels out with that knee injury. Commanders are still favorites in this game, so we're paying attention to that line movement as well. I think it's really just the running that we're going to get from Mariota at 4K, and I think they're going to be able to move the ball against this Raiders defense, which is not very good. My camera likes to freeze on me once a week. It's going to happen on the live stream. Come on. I can fix that. I can fix that. Let's activate us here. There we go. We are back. We're actually back. I'm not kidding. That happens to me once a week. It's like the old like N64 games where you got to like take it out and blow on it for it to work. That's my camera cable for whatever reason. Mariota McLaurin stack. That might be the move. It might be the move. Williams might be higher owned. I kind of think that is true because it's easy. It's like the stacks are cheap, right? Exactly what you guys are talking about in the chat. You guys are all over it. Let's go. Big Ed in the chat. What's up? Salvetri Hillbilly is still the best username I've ever seen. Shout out Sal. Whit Hester. Hope you have fun with the fam today. My boy Browning dropping dimes on you today. Uh-oh. We will see. We will see. Joe missing all the questions in the chat. Am I missing questions? Let's scroll up. What did I miss? Have I ever siphoned gasoline? Dixon. You're on one today, my man. I have not. Ben Gresmer. What's up, my man? Benjamin. Shout out Tay Tay. How we doing? What questions did I miss? Have I ever siphoned gasoline? Is that the question that you just made me stop the stream and scroll up for? What is wrong with you? I will say that a close second on usernames, Velveeta Cheetah, that's incredible. Incredible. Yeah, I think the Caleb Williams versus Dak question is an interesting one, though. I actually think that the Caleb one, I don't know, 5,600 for him. I have a hard time looking past that. I think the Bears defense on the other, it almost comes down to the other side, right? He's just going to be throwing the whole game because the Bears might have the worst defense in the league. And they're cheaper from a stacking perspective. You can get into some of these really expensive options. You can also stack Caleb and then still get CD Pickens on the other side pretty easily as well. There's a million different directions we can go with this this game. So I like it quite a bit. obviously, like most people. 50-point total. Next highest is 46. And it seems like it's going to be a little bit of back and forth without like a big favorite. So pretty interesting. You guys hear my dogs barking? I'm never sure if you guys can hear that stuff. As a Dak hater, I'm taking Dak all day here in this matchup. Right on. We'll get there. I think that's gonna be one of the key questions, I think, before we build this roster. If we end up in that game, we have to find a way to get different with it somehow, right? So let's keep this thing moving. Let's go to running back next, because this might be the most loaded running back slate I've ever seen. Do I want to remove Jordan Mason and Kenneth Walker from this poll? I think I do, because both of those guys are just incredible plays, right? I'm going to remove them from this poll because this is just not relevant. Let's do this. Top running back play. I don't know why it says not CMC. Top running back play, not Mason, not, I think, yeah, not Mason, not Kenneth Walker. Let's do it. Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Jalen Warren, Bijan Robinson, Javonte Williams, or other. Let's get a feel for, like, if we had a running back 3 option, or like one of our second favorite options outside of those guys that are just insanely underpriced at 5,800, 5,400, who do we like? Like Jordan Mason at 5,400 is a really tough one for me not to click with Aaron Jones out, right? With a backup quarterback in there against this Cincinnati defense who's horrendous as a home favorite. Like, I could continue. Kenneth Walker, 5,800. Zach Charbonnet also out. Seahawks, home favorite. Yeah, there's not a lot to be said. I think he's going to get the ball a ton in this game. So both of those guys basically ruin the slate in some ways, because getting one of them, if not both of them, in is going to be a big priority. So outside of them, who do we want to get in? Bijan Robinson, an incredible matchup for Bijan Robinson. We have a lot of Bijan Robinson overs today. So I'm with you guys on that. We basically just play running backs against Carolina every week. That's the move. Just play your running backs against Carolina every single week and print money. Is that the play? Minhala, we have permission to play CMC. And I appreciate the reference from like 3 to 4 years ago in this chat. That's how long ago you've been here, man. I appreciate that. Yes, we used to have Christian McCaffrey at like, didn't he get up to like 12K at something outrageous on DraftKings? And we were still playing him every week. Yeah. So we would have to give people permission though. Shout out Jake Seeley. Miss you, brother. What else we got? We got a Bucky reference in here. Toby. Bucky. I'm a little bit worried about that offensive line. They have even more injuries on that offensive line now. Wentz is slinging it today. Jefferson puts up 25 to 30. I'm slightly nervous that's just a really run-heavy game plan. But yeah, Wentz is cheap. Yeah, maybe we just, in Minnesota, we just revitalize these old quarterbacks. Maybe we do it one more time. I could see it. Seems like Bijan is the preference for you guys if we're not locking in those 5K running backs. Interesting. I kind of think Christian McCaffrey. Do we have Juwan Jennings news? No Kittle, obviously. Let's see if we got any Jennings stuff. He was questionable last I saw. Questionable. Ankle and shoulder. Did not participate in Friday's practice. So we'll see if he's active. That game's later, right? Yeah, 425 game. I still really like Christian McCaffrey, and the idea of putting him in your flex, I still think is like one of the better things you can do, because then you just have so much late swap ability, right? So if you put Christian McCaffrey in your flex, you can back into a million different combinations of Dallas and Chicago as well. Things aren't going well in the beginning. So these type of slates where it's extremely loose and we have most of the chalk in the afternoon, I think what we'll have to do with this roster, no matter what we're stacking, is we have to find something at like the 1 p.m. slate that is slightly unique, under-owned, still can give us some early information, right? Because if we end up finding something and hitting, great. Maybe we stay with some of this chalk in Dallas, Chicago. If not, we got to find something more unique at 4 p.m. Maybe we back into this Chargers game, something like that, right? CMC is going to eat today. Yeah, I totally agree. We have a lot of the CMC props this week as well. Bijan may get shut down if they're smoking them. Yeah, Toby, I feel you, man. I feel you. I honestly think if they're smoking them, he's a big part of it. So He might have already gotten there for us if he doesn't get as much run, but we'll see. That's obviously the concern, right? Is that Algier ends up getting more touches just because this game is out of reach? It's possible. It's definitely possible. Definitely possible. Let's move to wide receiver. I think running back is like very straightforward. It's like one or both of Jordan Mason, Kenneth Walker, and then I think you have the option to pay up for someone like Christian McCaffrey or Bijan. If you're looking for leverage, it's kind of like, I know someone mentioned Bucky. I think that's okay. Like I said, I'm a little bit nervous about the offensive line. I think it's probably like trying to jam in someone like Saquon or JT. I feel pretty good about that. Jalen Warren is kind of like in a weird price point to where I think he might get a little bit under owned. It's also a pretty good matchup for him in the receiving game. So I am kind of monitoring that at least a little bit. New England's been giving up a ton to running backs in the passing game. Yeah. This was a poll that I think we hit on last week in some ways. Top elite wide receiver play today. So basically, these are all the most expensive wide receivers. If we're getting one receiver in today on the expensive side of things, who is it? Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins. I don't know why I put other on there. Don't vote for other on this poll. I'm not on it today. This is coffee number 2. Maybe I should be one more deep. These are the most expensive wide receivers on DraftKings. If we have to play one today, who is it? I actually think that the ownership might be relatively spread out here. I could be wrong. Didn't have enough Puka last week. I don't know why that one's so tough for me to click. It's a problem because all Stafford does is throw to 2 guys. It is a problem. What if Jennings is out? Yes, and I like Christian McCaffrey more. Where do I buy one of these hoodies? My wife's friend actually made me a couple of these, and most people probably don't. I have like 4 of these, so I wear them on like every video. It's just easier just to throw on one thing when I record. It messes with lighting if I have different colors. It's a whole thing. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would sell them. I would probably sell like 4 of these. For right now, it's a custom collection for myself. I also feel like a huge loser walking around my apartment building with these, so I try not to. Does Algier score today? I could see it. I could see it. It's crazy. This Mason stuff is actually so brutal. So my Vikings video the last 2 weeks has had a Jordan Mason touchdown on it. I think I did it again this week. I hope I did. And then now he's just the mega chalk. Everyone's going to have him. Of course, he'll score. We were early. CeeDee Lamb. Yes, all the CeeDee Lamb. Like I said, Bears defense might be the worst defense in the entire league. Amon-Ra St. Brown just scored 3 touchdowns against them. So what do you think CeeDee is going to do? I actually think that Pickens is kind of sneaky also, though. Chicago's giving it up everywhere, but they also just can't defend outside wide receivers whatsoever. They've given up more big plays than almost anyone. So one of my main videos this week actually has a longest reception for Pickens. It also has a longest reception for one other player. Not in this game. You guys know who that is? Another team that just can't defend the deep ball. Just can't defend the deep ball. And I think those props are fun to root for. The Raiders cannot defend the deep ball. Terry McLaurin, longest reception. There's some alpha for you guys. Make sure you guys take it on Prize Picks. Use code HulkAlive so that I know you came from the live stream. They'll actually give you guys a gimme pick as well. I believe it's Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce for Sunday Night Football. And then if you play $5, you get $50 instantly. So Prize Picks has a really nice offer. All the best offers are like early in the NFL season, I think. So take advantage of that. Should be a link for that one as well in the description. I'm just going to make it easy for you guys. CeeDee Lamb, though. Yes, CeeDee is an absolute smash. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson in the backup quarterback bowl in Minnesota. Kind of interesting, actually. We'll see if that ends up being more run heavy, but Cincy's defense is not great. If you were Carson Wentz, what would you be doing today? I know what I'd be doing. I'd be giving Justin Jefferson the ball as much as possible. So I was hoping that he'd be a little bit lower owned. He's looking like he's projecting still at like 13 to 15%. That's a little high for me, but I still like it. Sal's got that Terry longest reception. Let's go. Pickens going against a horrible cornerback. Yeah, it's not great. Throwing it to T Higgins, maybe. I like the T stuff. I feel like T's left a little bit on the field this year. We will see. Okay, I figured you guys were going to go CD Lamb on that poll. Here's the more interesting poll. Again, it feels like every week is basically won and lost with deciding this. Top non-elite wide receiver play today. Roma Doomsday, Keenan Allen, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Drake London, George Pickens, or other. What do we think about like this range of wide receiver today? Like who are our top priorities at wide receiver? If you're just coming in here, quarterback today, I think it's very easy just to pay down for Marcus Mariota at 4K, or I think you're trying to get into this Chicago Dallas game with either Caleb Williams or Dak Prescott. Running back, Jordan Mason, Kenneth Walker, just insanely hard not to play at that price point for how much volume they're going to get. Volume is king at running back, all of those things. If you're paying up for some options outside of that, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, both in amazing spots. I like CMC a little bit more if Juwan Jennings doesn't play, but it also opens up your roster a ton if you play him in your flex spot for later on today. There's your catch up. Top non-elite wide receiver play today. We got 250 people in here, 15 votes so far. This is an important poll. I need you guys. Give me the answers to the test, fam. Who do we like? Who do we like? Rome Odunze. Yeah, it seems like he's kind of like solidified himself as the wide receiver one there. DJ Moore hasn't done as much so far. I do think that the props for DJ Moore at times of this week have gotten a little bit too low. So I think I do have one over for DJ Moore. But Rome at 5,300 is severely underpriced. So against this Dallas defense that just got absolutely shredded. Yeah. I think Odunze is probably my favorite piece on the Chicago side if you're going there. Easy bring back with your DAX stacks, all of that. It's not going to be super unique, but this game definitely has a ton of upside. Up in pace, only game with a 50-point total. Lot to like. Two bad defenses. We could continue to go down this rabbit hole, but yeah. Couple offensive line versus defensive line things. If we're talking about quarterback efficiency, all of those things that I think really matter. This Cincinnati offensive line has been absolutely terrible. So I do think that Minnesota is going to be able to get some pressure today. Jacksonville's offensive line has not been good against Houston's D line. That's terrifying. I actually do kind of like the Chargers, I think, more than most people. But that Denver defensive line is also very good. So I have a little bit of concern there. New Orleans offensive line, horrendous. Seattle's actually pressured pretty well as well. So those would be the defenses I'd be targeting for pressure, probably like Houston, Denver, and then probably to a slightly lesser degree, Minnesota and Seattle. I think those make a lot of sense. A lot of Roman Dunze love in the chat. Some others. What do we got for others here? Can CD and Pickens both eat? Absolutely. Absolutely. Moore is tremendous leverage. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I like the way you guys think. Rome is just too cheap. Yes, that is definitely true. That is definitely true. Definitely true. Mike Trout hitting a 485-foot home run. Is that true? Whoa. Nothing like going to a ball game in the fall, right? A little crispy outside. Jackson Smith and Jigba is another one. Yeah, 6,500. He's another one that just feels a little bit too cheap. It looks like he has some sort of illness that he's battling through. Maybe we get a nice little discount in ownership there. I don't think so, though. Highest target share in football. I think it's like over 40% through 2 games, which is absolutely insane. So Darnold is basically just locking in on him like he did with Justin Jefferson. Not a huge surprise there. Nice move. But yeah, I think Kenneth Walker is still the number one option, price considered, on the Seattle side. But Jackson Smith and Jigba is also a phenomenal play. I'm with you guys on that. We got 18% of the vote for Jackson Smith and Jigba. I like it. 3 votes for Keenan Allen. Yeah, it's interesting because Keenan Allen just doesn't go away, right? What is he, 34 years old now? 33 years old? He's not going to see any Patrick Surtain in this game, really. Playing a lot in the slot, all of those things. The Chargers throwing at this high of a rate was not on my bingo card for 2025. You guys? Like, do we see that like start to regress back to like what you thought they wanted to do? A little bit more running. Maybe they just think they have they have the personnel for it. Like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Let him cook, right? So Keenan Allen at 4,700, way too cheap for the volume for sure. Maybe not crazy upside, but all the guy does is earn targets. Catcher, whoa, 49.99 super chat. Holy moly, dude. Thank you so much. Made me some money. Here's your cut. All the best. Brother made some of that. That's awesome, man. Big win. Let's hear about the team, dude. What were you playing? That's very unnecessary, but very nice of you, man. I know you've been around for a really long time. Glad you had a big win last week. Let's go. Mr. Ed, also 5 to 90 in the chat from a Thursday parlay. Let's go, bro. Let's go. Catcher, I need some details, man. You can't just drop that and leave. You got to tell us what happened. Give us the goods. So you didn't play Burrow. You had some other good stuff in there. Guys, I don't think you realize we were kind of on the crab last week. If we had the right quarterback, we had some rosters that had both Jacksonville running backs and they both scored at a really cheap price. Let's go. Harborough said his job is to get Herbert into the Hall of Fame. That was a hint. That's fair. We got to pay more attention to what these coaches are saying, I guess, right? We will see. Catch it. Regardless, man. Congrats. That's awesome. I want to hear about this team when you get a second, though. Roma Dunze leading this poll. George Pickens gets 2 votes. No votes for Jacoby Myers or Drake London. That is like almost my exact point. No one wants to play Jacoby Myers. I will say that Jacoby Myers on this slate seems not as appealing just because we're going to need to score a lot of points today. So we're focused a little bit more on ceiling probably. At 5,600, it's a great price. I still think that he's a great value. We need a little bit more ceiling. So if you were to ask me Drake London versus Jacoby Myers, I definitely prefer Drake London. There's a couple guys in that range that I think have high ceilings that have kind of underperformed a little bit. Brian Thomas Jr., people are fed up with him. I don't know what's going on, but 12 targets in week 1, 4 for 49, 7 targets last week, 1 catch. Crazy. I have that reversed, actually. Last week, 12 targets. Week 1, 7 targets. Regardless, hasn't looked good for BTJ. Hasn't looked good. Unless it's McVay speak. Good point. Yeah, never trust Sean McVay. Streaming for Daniels, Goff, May, Mariota, Brown. I'm streaming Mariota in my most important fantasy league because I just lost Justin Fields. So that makes you feel better. Carlos, thanks for subscribing, my man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Actually, what we should probably go through too, I mentioned that like if you wanted to load up on these 4 p.m. games, we still need to find some leverage early on. So like maybe a little mini stack, a couple plays that we could get some early information on so we can know if we could stay with the chalk the rest of the way, right? So for me, if we're looking at some leverage at running back, we mentioned Jacksonville, Travis Etienne, 5,900, kind of in that same price range. Interesting. Get him at like a 5% ownership. I liked Saquon a little bit, but that's a lot of salary earlier in your slate. Bucky Irving at 7,100 still feels a little bit overpriced given the situation there, but you're going to get him at single-digit ownership. I think that's interesting. The wide receivers, though, I think is where most of the leverage at 1 p.m. is going to be. I don't think anyone's going to play Jamar Chase. Like, he'll be sub 10% for sure. So I think he's interesting. So I think both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins gives you a lot of early information. Both of those guys, I think, are in pretty good spots as well. So low ownership, obviously a backup quarterback, but we will see. I think there should be some fireworks in that game too. Nico Collins, 7,300, projects as a really high ceiling, really low ownership for him. Emeka Egbuka, a little bit banged up, but we've seen him perform both weeks so far. I think those are kind of like the top leverage options. If you wanted to go to the Philly guys, you'll get single-digit ownership on both of those, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. So I think that's somewhat interesting. So I think you need to find something that you like in the morning games to try and get away from some of the chalk that we're going to see later on. So I don't see as much value in playing like a Puka Nacua or like a Jonathan Taylor or something like that. Just if you're going to play some chalk, it needs to be, I think, something that opens up your roster the rest of the way. So like Jordan Mason at 5,400 is obviously totally fine. He's one of the best plays on the slate. We got to be thinking through that, right? So then basically after that happens and you get that early information, you have Dallas and Chicago probably locked into a lot of lineups. You could put McCaffrey in there. And then you know basically what you need to do at this point. If you need leverage, obviously you're probably not playing Kenneth Walker. You're probably backing into some Alvin Kamara teams or some J.K. Dobbins teams, something like that. That's going to give you a little bit more leverage. Maybe even Javonte Williams. I don't think you'll get crazy low ownership on Javonte. I think he's a really good play, but trying to back into a different way to approach that Dallas and Chicago game, I think makes sense. And then if we're just looking at wide receivers, you're probably trying to like Flip a coin with something like Rashid Shaheed, Cortland Sutton, Chris Olave. I actually think that the New Orleans guys offer a ton of leverage if you're in a lot of trouble. Maybe Cooper Kupp, leverage some of the Jackson Smith and Jigba people, the Kenneth Walker people. I actually think Cooper Kupp is a decent leverage play today. Not crazy high ceiling, but you're going to get him at 1%. He's only 5K. I think he makes some sense. Shaheed, Olave, both of those guys. Juwan Jennings, if he goes, I know it's looking like probably doubtful, more on the doubtful side of questionable, but we'll see. We talked about that, I think, week 1. Maybe it was week 2. I forget. But those are all really good late swap options. At tight end, most people are going to play Trey McBride today because they have all the salary in the world. We haven't talked about tight end yet, but there is a little bit of leverage there as well if you want to back into like a Colston level and something like that at 3,200. Juwan Johnson, 3,900. The New Orleans guys are projecting for some decent leverage today. So hopefully that's helpful. I like kind of going through that just to know, like, what do we want to do if things go bad, right? What do we want to do if things go bad? Let's keep moving through. Sam Darnold double stack. That's a unique way to get into some JSN stuff, and then you're probably not playing Kenneth Walker on that team. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I still think it's Kenneth Walker's day, but if you're trying to leverage those people, thank you for your super chat, Uncle. Appreciate it, bro. Best defense below 2,700. Yeah, I don't really go through defense a ton usually because it's more of just like, yeah, trying to find the cheaper defense to me that is in a good spot to get pressure or pass attempts or both on the other side. So I think that's probably Raiders is the cheapest I would go, I think. Raiders is probably the cheapest I would go. If you wanted to like pay up, it's probably Green Bay, but I don't think on DraftKings you have to do that. Colts are interesting. I think Atlanta is interesting. Atlanta's 3,200. Colts are at 3,300, so it's kind of like a weird price range for them. Yeah, so I think if you're paying all the way down, it's probably going to be the Raiders. Actually, Jacksonville at 2,800, if you did want to go that direction, I think is fine. But yeah, I would say if price didn't matter, it would probably be Green Bay. If price mattered a little bit more, it would probably be Indy as my top options. But yeah, they're pretty expensive. I feel you. Mariota stack with Ertz and McLaurin. All Ertz does is score touchdowns. I don't know if he's going to give you a massive ceiling, but with his price, maybe. I like the Terry McLaurin stuff, and I don't have a ton of Terry McLaurin in season long right now. Ed me question, super chatted before. Did I miss your question, Ed? I sure did. Sorry about that, man. All right, 10-man, half PPR, 3 wide receiver, and a flex. Need a lineup. Help. Baker, Kyler, or Danny Dimes. The Baker stuff makes me slightly nervous. I think I still would have him slightly ahead of Kyler, though, personally. Yeah. Danny Dimes, he's going to give you a nice floor, but I think I would still have him projected slightly lower. So, yeah, I think Baker for me of the quarterbacks. Wide receivers, MHA, Pearsall, Jacoby. I like Jacoby a lot. Obviously, you're getting in Puka. So you need what? 2 out of those guys? Yeah, I think it's probably Jacoby and JMO for me. Yeah, hope that helps, my man. Hope that helps. Making a TD score parlay, anyone to stay away from. Oh, my man. I already have a video for that. I can tell you the 6 guys that are going to score this week was pretty crazy. We actually almost had a 5 for 5 on our touchdown video last week. What was it? Yeah, Kyron Williams gets stopped at the 1. Corum runs it in. So brutal. So brutal. The touchdown stuff is fun. That's something else I've considered doing more of on like the YouTube long form stuff. Would you guys watch a video where it's like a touchdown, who's most likely to score a touchdown or 1 touchdown bet per game, something like that? It's like kind of go game by game and trying to decide like 1 player we could bet for touchdowns. Would that be like a cool video? Would you guys watch that? I think that'd be cool. Pearsall or MHJ? Yeah, I think it's Pearsall for me, man. As much as that sucks, I think it's Pearsall for me, especially if Jennings is up. Joe would definitely watch that. Sounds cool, right? I don't want to just do fantasy only long form for some like it's probably the dumbest thing I can do for my channel for like growth and all of that. But I still like I want to do videos on stuff that I'm doing. So like that's why I do so many prop betting short form stuff throughout the week, is that's what I'm the most focused on. But like I'm paying a lot of attention to these touchdown bets because I think those are like so fun to root for. So like a video that goes through like each and every game and tries to find one touchdown bet, that's just sounds like a fun video to make. Might be cool. Juwan Johnson leading the way on the top tight ends. Interesting. No one's going to pay up for Cherry McBride. We have all the salary in the world, friends. Tyler Warren. Yeah, I mean, the McBride stuff, he hasn't scored touchdowns. We know that. The volume is crazy, though. Like, I think he's had like at least a 28, 29% target share in like his last 10 games straight, something crazy. I can't remember the exact stat that I read. There's a few sites that give TD bonuses. Yes, Prize Picks does actually have really good multipliers for these touchdown um, parlays, for lack of a better word. So I like the Prize Picks ones. I like those, and then you can get that free square, which is nice. So you pick like your 5 touchdowns. You add on the Travis Kelce over a half yard. I think it's Mahomes over half a passing yard. Basically, turn your 10x into like a 15x for free, which is kind of cool. Cash a lot off your channel, nothing crazy, but bet you're the best at what you're doing. I appreciate that, man. Sometimes it's hard to tell if enough people are enjoying the work that we're putting in, right? Like, go look at the difference between like the long form comments, like super positive people that I would like for sure hang out with, have a beer with at the game, like super reasonable, and then go to like the YouTube Shorts comments, and people are like telling me to kill myself and stuff. It's brutal. Juwan has 22 targets in 2 weeks. Yeah, Juwan is like it's crazy because it goes against everything that I believe in at tight end. Like we want touchdowns, right? So typically I want to target tight ends that have high team totals. But Juwan is just getting so much volume. Like I struggle with these type of guys, right? So if you're looking at Juwan Jennings at 3,900 versus like Jake Ferguson at 4K, like I struggle with that. Like I prefer Ferguson just because of the massive team total. You guys feel differently on that? The Juwan Jennings versus Ferguson. I didn't even put Ferguson. Yeah, I did put. Yeah, apparently I did. 18%, 31% of you prefer the guy with the massive volume, low team total. Interesting. I don't think anyone's really that close to Trey McBride on ceiling today, though, at tight end. I just don't like. If I have one rule at tight end, it's don't play the expensive tight end that is chalk. Like, have we learned anything from the Rob Gronkowski years? Have we learned anything from Travis Kelce and his decline last year? I really struggle with paying up for a tight end that's chalk. I would have a much easier time just playing Brock Bowers today at single digit ownership than I would for playing Trey McBride. I'm just going to tell you guys, like, when we build this, if he burns me, that's fine. I have Trey McBride on one of my most like important season long teams, so I hope he does well, but I have a hard time with it in DFS personally. I really do. Let's keep this moving because I want to build this team. This is the best poll of the entire week. So if you haven't been here the whole time, or if you haven't been voting this whole time, this is the one I need your help with. Favorite game stack. This is going to be the lineup that we build. Dallas at Chicago. I have this in order of game total. Doesn't mean we can't stack up a game that has a lower total. We got Dallas at Chicago with a 50-point total. We got Denver at LAC, 46-point total. Arizona at SF, LA at Philly, Pittsburgh at New England, Atlanta at Carolina, Las Vegas at Washington, Cincy at Minnesota. Favorite game stack today. What do we like? What do we like? McBride allergic to the end zone. Can confirm. Can confirm. Double digit targets, though, is still pretty nice. Pretty nice. There's definitely some leverage at tight end too. Like if you really wanted to like back into like a David Njoku at 2%, 4,100, kind of like that same price range. He's due for, I think, some positive regression. I think he's kind of interesting. Hunter Henry seems due 3,800. He's very cheap. Doesn't seem necessary on this slate, but you could go that direction. Yeah, if this Dallas game ends 31-32, that's probably. Oh, sorry, that's the D ranking. Yeah, both teams. Not surprised. Bottom two defenses in the league playing each other. That sounds fun. Pitts, Panthers defense. Yeah, Pitts has looked better this year. I'm always scared to talk about Pitts just because he's burned us so many times in season long. But yeah, he has looked pretty good. I just saw him live last week. He looked good. Dallas at Chicago. We can do it. We're gonna have to find a way to get somewhat unique with this. We're gonna have to find a way to get somewhat unique. But the runaway winner is Dallas at Chicago. So the next poll, naturally, is going to be who is our QB today. And don't pick the guy that's going to get hurt. Last week you guys gave me Joe Burrow. Don't do that again. That was not nice for you guys. Dak and Caleb. Who is our QB today? Who do you guys want at QB? Dak or Caleb at QB as we build this DraftKings team? Who do we want? And then we're going to have to find something we like for leverage, I think. We're going to have to build this slightly differently, but I think we can do it. Is there anything in this game that is going to be like, give us like a ton of leverage? That would be like my first question. The highest leverage is probably like backing into, God, I wish Colston Loveland was getting more targets. He's so cheap. No one's going to play him. Like a Luther Burden at 4,200, still just not getting a lot of volume. But I guess if you're going to play on the side that like DJ Moore is getting phased out a little bit, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, like that's some decent leverage. The natural leverage spot is Javonte, but he's not going to be super low owned. So I don't see like a ton of options in this game to get like super unique personally. Is there a good rule of thumb for you on leaving salary on the table on DK? It's a great question, Wooddale. I care more about this for like showdown slates and smaller slates personally, because like duping is like not that big of a deal. So yeah, I personally, and this is a week where you can probably leave a decent amount of salary on the table and still project pretty well. I still try and keep it to like 500 or less. I can usually find a spot on my roster to upgrade just to get it in like that 300, 500 or less at the very most. Yeah, good question though. Thank you for that super chat, Wooddale. Swift for leverage, maybe. I do have a prop on Swift. He's just not getting a ton of work and he's banged up right now. So I posted that video with Swift and there's like an over, I think it was like 35 rushing yards, something crazy. I didn't realize he was been a little bit banged up though. The touches aren't fantastic there either. Looks like we're getting some Dak love here. Fair enough. Fair enough. Some Dak love. So one thing that I've had a lot of success with, even like I think it's doable too in some of these larger field tournaments. I actually do think you can stack more players than you think. You're actually more unique for stacking more players in a game, like a full game stack, than you are if you're trying to piece together what you think are the best plays. So if we think this game is going to end, if it's going to go over 50 points, we kind of just want to make less decisions, if that makes sense. So the best way to make less decisions is just to play more players, right? So if we are going to go Dak, I think we probably just at least double it with CD. And I think Pickens is still a slam dunk at 5,900. So we got that. Most people are going to bring it back with Roma Dunze. So I would prefer that we don't do that. Why did I put Adams in here? Dak. Look at all of the injured quarterbacks. This is nuts. All right, Dak, CD, Pickens. I think the next question is, do we play one of or both of? I think we probably can't play both Mason and Walker, most likely. Because then we're going to end up with like a really similar build to a lot of people, right? So if we were to play one of those guys, which one do you guys prefer? One of those chalk running backs. You guys have a preference there? And I should probably put in like a placeholder defense for us too. What did we say the cheapest one we would do is? Raiders? We could put in like a middle of the pack one. We could put in like Colts just as like a middle of the pack defense. Let's put in Colts for now because then we can adjust this if we need to. Colts is 3,300. That's not that middle of the pack, I guess. I take it back. At that point, I probably just pay up for Green Bay. Raiders was the 2,300 one. Let's just go all the way down to Raiders and see what happens first. Okay. So, yeah, what was I talking about? Oh, Mason. So do we want to get Mason in or do we want to get Walker in? I think that's the question. What do you guys think? If we could just play one. It looks like more Mason. No, I'm seeing some Walker here too. Both of these guys are in great spots, obviously. I would say the higher ceiling is probably Walker. I mean, we could just play both, but then we're going to have to get real weird the rest of the way. Real weird. I already said that I'm not playing McBride, so that could help us free up a little bit of chalk that most people are going to play with this build. It's going to be really difficult to find a super high projected team that doesn't have Mason and Walker. Let's start with it and see if we can back into something unique here. So we still have 3 slots to get weird. So I think we should try and figure out what we want to do with our bring back in Chicago. We should try and figure out what to do with the bring back in Chicago. What do you guys think? Am I answering start sit questions today? Gregory, I'm going to start the start sit stream next week. I wanted to give the live stream viewers, my OGs on Sunday mornings, the chance, the heads up that we're going to start it next week, my man. Yep. So I think I'm going to do that show at most likely 10:15, 10:30 Eastern time. But yeah, you'll see it on the channel next week, my man. So if you came from the season-long streets, I'm going to do like a Q&A, mostly start-sit type of ask me anything type of stream. This is where we're walking through DraftKings FanDuel stuff. So thank you for that super chat, man. Walker, Mason Mega Chalk that fails today. Mason Mega Chalk that fails today. Interesting. Jake Ferguson. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally down to add in Ferguson. He's not going to give us anything that's different, though. Can we work in C-Mac? More Rome. C-Mac in the flex, is that even possible? Yeah, we could. I mean, that just gives us so much flexibility, for sure. But I mean, that's the 3 most popular running backs on the slate. So I don't know if we can do that. I love C-Mac as much as the next guy, but I don't think that is the move today. We need some early information, though. So I'm going to throw something crazy out there. How do you guys feel about throwing Jamar Chase on this team? Jamar Chase and Jordan Mason mini stack in this game. I think we get a ton of leverage there by paying up for Jamar Chase, 8,100. Somewhat unique with having CD and Chase on the same team. Chase should not be in the flex, though. We'll put CD in the flex. What do you guys think about that? Is that crazy? Juwan at tight end, we could do that. Hawkinson, good play with Wentz today. God, Hawkinson has just looked so terrible. He's looked so terrible. I feel like if I'm going to go Chicago, I'm going off the board today, guys. I'm sorry. I got to find something on Chicago that gets us in a unique position. So, like, is this the Colston Loveland game? Is this the Colston Loveland game? Am I forcing that? Paying all the way down for Colston Loveland. He's a first-round pick, guys. A 10th overall pick. His best comparable player, according to Player Profiler, is Trey McBride. Give me Colston Loveland. Give me Colston Loveland. That gets us 5,400 in the flex, guys. So that gives us something somewhat unique. 5,400 in the flex. We could obviously upgrade running back or defense if we needed to. We could. 5,400. We can't quite get Jalen Warren, which would have been nice. I like Jalen Warren quite a bit. At 5,400, what do we like? So right now we got Dak to CD to Pickens to Loveland on the other side. And then we get on the other side of it, we got a Mason Chase mini stack. We got Kenneth Walker. 5,400. What do you guys think? Is there a flex at like the 5,400 and down range that we love today? We could just play DJ Moore at that point, guys. Just throwing that out there. We could play Roma Dunze at that point. Just throwing that out there. I want to be somewhat unique, though, so we could just play DJ Moore and Loveland together. What do we think? Keeping with the stack, I think that makes sense. Yeah. Odunze. Are we unique enough if we go Odunze here, though? Like, is that unique enough? That's a lot of chalk. The two most owned quarter or running backs. We do get like a low owned Chase in here, though, so that's somewhat unique build. I mean, I don't disagree with you guys. Odunze is definitely a higher projected play than DJ Moore, but we're going to get half the ownership on DJ Moore. Half of it. So when I was kind of looking at DJ Moore earlier in the week, it does seem like he's starting to get a little bit phased out, which makes me nervous. But when I was looking at this, I made a video just for this game, right? So if you're looking for props for this video or for this game, I've got some props up for Cowboys Bears. But DJ Moore, the Cowboys gave up the 5th most receiving yards to wide receivers last year, but they also play cover 2 more than anyone. You know who typically leads them in target share against cover 2? DJ Moore. Yeah. Yeah. So DJ Moore is kind of like that cover 2 beater. So I might have to come over the top here. If you guys want to play Odunze, I agree with you that the projection would tell you that's correct. But I'm trying to beat others today. I'm trying to make a roster in this high scoring game that is unique. So to me, we got Dak going crazy through the air. And then we get Loveland to finally have his breakout. And then we play DJ Moore over Odunze against the type of defense that he typically does well against. That's my thought process there. Am I crazy? Maybe. We get both running backs in here that are amazing values. It's really hard not to play these guys because that's the volume that gets completely locked in. We have a lot of flexibility here if we need to pivot, but we do get some early information with Mason and Chase. So I like that. The early information with Mason and Chase. If we get like a blow up from Chase, maybe we're way ahead. Maybe we're way behind. Maybe Chase does nothing with Browning at quarterback. And then we can maybe mix things up a little bit. At that point, I would probably consider moving this Dak stack to a Caleb Herbert stack. I would probably consider it. Can we go expensive running back? Yes, that's another option that you could do. I don't think we can play Roma Doomsday on this team though, because I think we don't have enough differentiation on like the roster, like in terms of like high owned players and then really low owned players, if that makes sense, right? So I think this is probably what I would go with. Should we play the late swap out as well? Just to see what it would look like. Hold my beer. I'm going to save this roster. Let's do this. You guys have to see my ugly mug for a second. And then we're going to go boom. And then we're going to go boom. All right. So let's just say that we have Mason and Chase in here. And we need some sort of late swap. So what is our, if we were just looking at 4 p.m., actually we would have information from our defense as well, which is nice. So we would have Raiders defense in here. We want Raiders, right? Am I crazy? We want Raiders. So this is the information that we would have. So then basically what would be, so say our defense gets us 2, Jamar Chase gets us 5, some crazy terrible scenario, and Mason's fine. What is the highest leverage stack that we could go with? It's probably backing into like some Justin Herbert stuff, I would imagine. Or we could back into this Seattle game, which has a ton of leverage as well. So like Sam Darnold at 5,100, no one's going to play him, but I don't know how high the ceiling is. But the Chargers, we could back into like some Lad McConkey at low ownership. Let's go Herbert. I like the Herbert route if we wanted to play this out. So I think at wide receiver, I probably in this build would want McConkey. What happens if we play all three? Because all they're doing is throwing to their wide receivers right now. And Johnston. Where does that leave us with? So that leaves us with a decent amount of salary left. We still have enough if we want to play a good running back. We don't have to play a bad running back. The highest leverage in this range would probably just be playing Alvin Kamara. Or we could play J.K. Dobbins on the other side at 1%. I don't mind that. What do you guys think about J.K. Dobbins at 5,700 for leverage? Because, like, again, we're working through if our $8,100 wide receiver completely fails, right? And our defense completely fails. So we need to kind of flip this on its head a little bit. So I think J.K. Dobbins actually makes a decent amount of sense if we're trying to find leverage at 5,700 and also adds to our stack. So what does that leave us with if we go Dobbins here? 5,400 at tight end. That would not get us to Brock Bowers, unfortunately. So it leaves us in kind of a weird spot. Is there a pay up option that we could get into? We could play Javonte. So how does this Dallas game go bad is a question we should ask ourselves, right? And if we get Javonte at like 12% ownership, decent leverage there. And then we're at 5K at tight end. We still would basically, we can't get up to, we don't need to get up to Trey McBride because that's not going to give us any leverage. So we can actually go up quite a bit at running back if we need to. Like, do we go into, we can't get McCaffrey on this roster. What happens if we just, like, I guess, what do we like better in a vacuum? Do we like Javonte or Kamara better in a vacuum? Probably Javonte, right? We could just not force the triple here. So, like, of the wide receivers that give us the most leverage, it's probably going to be Quentin Johnston and Ladd McConkey, right? Because Keenan's going to be popular. Maybe not super popular, but Keenan's going to be like 15% or so. So let's remove Keenan. I like the idea of getting Williams in there at low ownership. What is our like leverage tight end then? I still think it's like a Colston level, and we could just leave him in. Juwan Johnson. He's probably Juwan Johnson. I know you guys liked him, so let's get him in this one. 3,900. That leaves a 5,800 at wide receiver left. So that would give us, with just the afternoon games, 5,800. So we could play Cooper Kupp for leverage. We could play Marvin Harrison for leverage. I think those are the two guys for the most leverage. Or we could play DJ Moore on this roster. Give us like a Javonte Williams, DJ Moore. No one wants to play DJ Moore. What do you guys think? We've already gotten weird, right? So we got Herbert, McConkey, Quentin Johnston. We got Javonte on here. I think this is weird enough. Chase is definitely risky for the price. That's our leverage move. Could this be Genty week? Possibly. That's not a bad, like, I guess, early morning kind of find information type of leverage play. I think for this roster, we would probably need to find, like, what is our highest ceiling one-off at this price? That's probably like a, well, we could get we haven't got a bring back now, right? Can we get Sutton in here? We just missed on Sutton. I think for this roster, we would have to have him, though. Let's get Sutton in there. And then we're at 3,700 at tight end. That gets us, can't get you on. We could just play our Colston Loveland move. So we got our, I guess, how does this game go completely bad or completely backwards? Is if the touchdowns go to Javonte Williams and Colston Loveland. I think this is the leverage late swap team. This is the leverage late swap team. You guys like it? I think I'm in. All right, guys. I had a lot of fun today. Make sure you guys come join us next week. We do this every single week at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Next week, we're going to be adding a start-sit Q&A fantasy football kind of ask me anything type of stream after the DraftKings and FanDuel stream. So that's going to be around this time. It's going to be basically around like 10:15, 10:30 on on YouTube, and we'll do this again next week. We'll do 2 streams, and we'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll continue it. Maybe we won't. But appreciate you guys being with us today, and best of luck in week 3. I'll talk to you guys soon.